Sandbaggers Case Files, a look back at the best spy show you've never heard of. Not everything is as it appears to be in today's episode, A Feasible Solution, which opens with the mysterious disappearance of a retired British missile engineer named Colby while on holiday in Cyprus. At first, Burnside doesn't see a need for SIS to get involved, but when the ops room reports that a Russian missile engineer named Yegorov has gone missing in Damascus, a troubling pattern emerges.
What does Yegorov advise on?
Missile guidance systems.
And Colby specialised in missile engines.
So if you can make it fly, and you can guide it...
All you need is a lump of high explosive at the sharp end.
Burnside meets with his two sandbaggers, Willie Caine and Laura Dickens, to discuss the situation. Who in the eastern Mediterranean region would be interested in making homegrown missiles? The likeliest answer is someone in Cyprus itself. With the United Nations peacekeeping force on the island and Greek and Turkish spies everywhere, it would be almost impossible to smuggle missiles into the country. Burnside suspects the Greek Cypriot National Front, which has the money and resources. And when the SIS Nicosia Station's number 2 is unexpectedly gunned down outside of his home, Burnside has a reason to send Caine, along with a replacement number 2 pulled from the field school. The prospect of having to nursemaid a student fresh out of training in the middle of a hostile situation doesn't appeal to Caine.
Look, why did they kill Norwich? It makes no sense unless they want us to go to Cyprus.
Instead of where?
I don't know. But if it's a diversion, I'll need Laura.
I'll go and brief.
Draw arms on station.
You know what I think about guns?
They're playing it rough.
Whoever they are.
In Cyprus, Willie meets Jill Ferris, the replacement for the murdered station officer. Shortly after arriving at their hotel, Hugh Douglas, the Nicosia station chief, tells them that, at Caine's suggestion, he has put out the word that they are in town, so it comes as no surprise later when they pick up a tail while driving around. Turns out it's an ambush. Caine and Ferris find themselves in a shootout with 3 gunmen, but together they handily dispatch 2 of them and interrogate the survivor. The man confesses he's working for someone named Apollo, the code name of one of the leaders of the Greek Cypriot National Front. But he says he doesn't know where Colby and Yegorov are. Caine decides to let him go, saying there's been enough killing for one day. Back at the hotel, Caine puts in a call to Burnside to share his suspicions that Jill Ferris is more than she appears to be.
We had a heavy session today, and she knew exactly what to do every time. She's no virgin. A very experienced lady.
It's all beginning to fit.
Burnside puts the pieces together. According to Jeff Ross, the CIA's London station chief, the Russians' man in Cyprus was killed looking for Yegorov. Ferris, or whatever her real name is, was his replacement, and the KGB killed the Nicosia Station number 2 to ensure that the SIS would send someone for her to tag along with. Burnside talks it over with Laura and decides the best thing to do is to let them work together, and when it comes to the crunch, Caine will grab both Colby and Yegorov and do away with the undercover Soviet agent.
Look, I'm worried about Willie. About the whole Cyprus operation. I'd like to talk it through with you, but I haven't any more time now. Mind having supper with me tonight?
I don't mind working late. You don't have to feed me.
I'd like to.
I'd like that too.
Burnside's invitation didn't come out of nowhere. Earlier in the episode, Burnside did some investigating of his own into Laura Dickens. He paid a discreet visit to the SIS psychiatrist to learn about why she seems to have trouble with relationships. Burnside learned that she was raised very strictly and that sex was a matter of close your eyes and think of England. But it doesn't take a psychiatrist to figure out why Burnside has been asking so many questions about her.
Don't try to hustle her into bed.
Incurable romantic, aren't you?
All I'm saying is that it could be months. Years, maybe never.
While Caine and Ferris engage in some secret agent flirting, Burnside and Laura have another awkward chat about emotions before ending up back at his apartment, where they discuss whether they could have a relationship given their equally damaged pasts. but are willing to give it a go. The next morning, back in the A-plot, Caine and Ferris work out a likely spot for the National Front's missile factory, a maximum security private sanatorium not far from where they had been ambushed the previous day. Caine and Ferris decide to do a recce and confirm their hunch. In addition to guard towers and electric fences, they see that third man from the ambush that Caine had decided to let live. Unable to get backup from the CIA or approval for a British military intervention, Burnside has no choice but to ask Caine to storm the installation himself.
You know, if Willie was paid $20,000 a year, I'd tell him to get on with it and earn his money. But every time I fight on Sandbaggers' pay, I'm told there's nothing special about them. They spend half their life sitting in the huts pushing paper. I've always argued it's not what they do, but what they may have to do come the crunch. Well, the crunch has come now. And I find it very hard to tell Willie to go out and kill himself at civil service rates.
Caine and Ferris wait until dark, when a well-timed power failure, thanks to a well-placed bribe, allows them to sneak into the compound. Then, in an orgy of barely visible violence, Caine and Ferris proceed to stab, slash, shoot, and clobber everyone in sight, racking up the highest body count in the entire series by far, before finding the missing rocket scientists and escaping with them to safety. Then, Caine, admitting that he knew Ferris was a Soviet agent all along, leaves Yegorov with her and splits with Colby. It seems Yegorov had been working with Apollo all along, and Ferris kills him off camera. Back in London, Caine is surprised to learn that Burnside is unhappy with how things went on the Cyprus job.
She was the most... And I just happened to think that I owed her more
You
than...
owe her nothing. She's KGB or SIS.
Never the twain shall meet.
Don't forget it again.
It's never a good idea to mix business and romance in the spy game, but will Burnside have to learn that same lesson the hard way? In the next episode, a mission into East Berlin goes badly for Laura Dickens, and Burnside is backed into a corner trying to get her out. That's next time on the Sandbaggers Case Files.